Welcome back to Davidson Handyman. This is part 4 of the DeLonghi Magnifica S repair, the replacement and reassembly. So, if you viewed the previous videos of descaling, lubricating, and disassembly, you will be at this point where I had to order the part, and this is the part we troubleshot down to. We put a meter up to these terminals, and the resistance was, I think, in the mid 800s. We'll test it again, but I'm suspecting that either this is bad or the valve itself. So I ordered the replacement part, which took some doing. It's very hard to find the exact replacement because the first thing they sent me was this one, which said it was an exact replacement for this Ecamm model. And you can see it is not. This has a valve stem coming out of the top, whereas this one's just capped off. So this is not the right part number. And this part is 521-321-8441. So that one is getting returned. Thankfully, the part store that I got it from, I think it was like DeLonghiParts.com or something like that. I don't remember. They gave me a return authorization, so that's no problem. Then I ordered this one, which is 521-321-8331. So instead of 8441, we need 8331. And you can see that's looking much more accurate. And it comes with the whole valve assembly. So what I'm going to do, since I'm already in here, is I'm going to replace the entire thing. And the first thing I'm going to do is unscrew the top of this. Like so. Lift this off. See? And that is our bad part. And then as you saw in the disassembly video, we're going to unscrew these two Torx screws again to take this mechanism out. Actually, you know what? I don't even really need to do that, probably. These little tension hooks here, you're going to grab them with some needle nose pliers and pull them out, and that should release the hoses and release this part. Now you'll see there's a little tray here that this sits on, so let's just slide this out like that. You can see the notch there, so you'll see what's holding this in place. These two Phillip head screws are holding this valve assembly on to this platform. But we're still going to need to disconnect the hoses. So we're going to do that by removing these. You can see they're like cotter pins. They just hold the hose in place. So we're going to grab some needle nose pliers and pull this and this back to loosen and remove these hoses. And then this whole mechanism will come off, and we'll unscrew it from here and then screw the new valve assembly back on. So we don't even need to take this off. We'll just use the one that comes with the new part. It comes with it. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to pull these first, disconnect the hoses, and then I'll unscrew this to remove this piece. Stay tuned. All right, step 1 is done. I pushed on the ends of them to extend this back part out enough for the needle nose to grab them, and then they just slide right out. And you can see the little collars here that latch behind them and hold those lines into the valve. So that's done. Now we're going to take this off of the base by just unscrewing these two screws. And there's our old valve assembly. So you can see it's a little bit gunky. I mean, the O-rings inside are still okay, I guess, but whatever. We'll just do a new one anyway. So we're going to set that aside and then grab the new part, and you can see where the screw holes align. So you'll find the screw holes and reattach this to the base. So I'm gonna do that, I'll be back. Okay, that's done. Pretty straightforward. Now we're going to insert these hoses one by one, insert this all the way in, and then take the pin. It's kind of universal, it doesn't matter which way the pin is oriented, but we'll put it through these holes, push it all the way in until you'll feel it click in place. And we'll do that for both sides, both hoses. Okay, once you do that, just give the hoses a little tug. Make sure they don't slide right out, but these are locked in and good to go. Now this base will slide back in here, but before we do that, I'm going to, we're gonna connect this one, because remember this one in the disassembly, I had to remove this before this would come off just because this plastic piece was in the way. So I'm going to connect these wires. The white wire, the shorter one, will go to the closer connection, and then the black one will go to the other one on the top. This ground one stays open. Nothing gets connected to that. So I'm going to do that, but before I do, I just want to check the resistance against these terminals compared to the one we are replacing and see if there's a difference there. So let's do that, and then we'll come back, and I'm going to install it anyway, but I'm just curious. So let's do that. Okay, so this is the old one, and I just propped the leads up because I'm filming here, but it does not matter which side you connect to the terminals, red or black. The red could be on the right or left, doesn't matter. We're just checking resistance. So we're going to go to our multimeter and set it to ohms, which is the omega sign or the horseshoe. So we're going to switch that. Then we're going to read resistance is 530.8 ohms across the old one. All right, now let's check the new one. Okay, so I have the new one hooked up, and we are at 521 ohms. So I had originally thought that we had to be between 1 and 2,000 ohms for this, but maybe that's a different one. Either way, there is a difference in the resistance between these two units. And when it comes to electronics, even a little bit of a resistance difference can mean the difference between an operating circuit and a non-operating circuit. So not a huge significant difference like I was hoping to see, which would guarantee this is the right repair, but it is a difference. And we're replacing the whole valve assembly too. So if this doesn't work, then I'm out of options and I'll have to figure something else out. But let's just keep moving forward and we'll figure it out as we go. So there is a slight difference between the old part and the new part as far as resistance goes, but we're going to install it anyway. So what you're going to do is slide this piece into the grooves. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot to connect it. I had this facing out to do the resistance check. So I'm going to loosen this nut, turn this sideways, connect these two, and then I'm going to, you'll see the grooves right there. You see the groove and the notch. So that slides in that side, and then this side will do the same right here. Just slides right in. So I'm gonna make the adjustment, make the connection, slide that in. BRB. And there we go, all buttoned up. So you want to make sure the connectors are solid. You want to make sure that these are pushed in and clipped. The hoses aren't loose or coming out, so give them a tug. This is locked in tight. I tighten this nut A little bit tighter than hand tight. You don't want to crank down on it, but you don't want it to be able to move. So that's good to go. And now we are ready for the reassembly part. Now before we reassemble, I mentioned in the disassembly video about lubrication. Since we have this off, if you haven't lubricated this piece right here yet, this is a good thing to do. So you can get something like this. This is food grade grease. So this is just a very light food grade lubricant, and I'm only gonna put a tiny little bit around here, just barely visible. You do not want to put this stuff anywhere where your coffee is going to touch, or any liquids or anything like that. This, you don't want to drink it, even though it's food grade safe, but just a barely visible layer like that. I might even take a little bit more off just because. Sorry about the hands. I was painting today. Okay. So there we go. That's good to go. Our grinder is now lubricated and we are ready to reassemble. So let's get to it. The first piece we are going to want to put back on is the top. Now, just like with disassembly, the pieces and panels have to come off in a certain order in order for it all to work. So doing it in reverse and reassembling, we're going to go with the top. And you can see the notches here on the top and the little grooves right here on the sides. Those are going to line up just like that. And then this slides down over. And you want to make sure in the back everything is lining up. You should see this connection right here on top of the orange grinder ring. And you'll push it down and make sure everything is aligned. Now, I recommend cleaning these panels as you go if you haven't done it already. So wipe them down, wash them, make sure they're completely dry though. But you're probably not going to take the coffee maker apart again, if all goes well, for a long time. So clean the insides of the panels, make sure everything is nice and neat, and then you can reinstall it and you'll be good. So this is fully seated now. It's looking good. Got a little bit of water in there. And now we can start with the side panels. Now, if you remember, the side panels have some hooks on them, and I'll have to do a little bit of trying to remember. I'll have to watch the other disassembly video, but you'll see the hooks there. Oh, it's upside down, that's why. These hooks right here hook into the machine up at the top. You'll see holes over there. So this is good for two hands. I'm going to just explain what I'm going to do and then go do it. But this, given the shape and the size of this panel, I think this is the other side. So this is going to, yep, this is going to go like that. And then this panel with the wide open, yes, this is for your water tray. This is gonna go like this, with the vent louvers up at the top with the hooks. So this leaves that space for your water tank. So that's how you know which panel goes to what. This will have the gap for the water tank. So what I'm going to do is start towards the back, push this up. I'm gonna find where those little hole connectors are. I'm gonna go slightly behind them, push this up, and then push it forward to lock it in place. So, and I will do that for both sides, and we will continue. So the side panels went in relatively easy. So it was exactly how I had thought. You would just start slightly back. There's little clips along here and down here in the front, so you want to make sure all of those are aligned. But once you bring it back a little bit, push it in and slide it forward, everything clips into place. And it did the same on this side as well. So relatively easy, much easier than I thought it was going to be. So now we have the rear panel, which hopefully you still have all of your Torx 20 safety screws with the hole in the middle. There's 5 of them in here. So I'm going to wipe this panel down a little bit. You see there's a little bit of coffee water. And I'm going to install this. Before we put the side panels in though, there are 2 screws that need to be installed right here and on the other side right here. So these are your 2 short Phillips head screws. These hold the top cover down in place. So you'll know that your cover is aligned right when the holes are aligned and the screws go in. So install this screw and this screw, and then put your side panels on. Before you install the back panel, just remember that there are still 2 short Phillips screws that go here and here. So install these screws first, then put the back panel on. And the back panel will go into these notches. You'll see it'll align there and then hook down. And then you'll see the holes for your safety screws right here, 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 and here. So there's your 5 safety screw holes. So get these screws on there, then put the back panel, and then come back over here and put the rest of your screws. So right here, you have this long Phillips head screw. Right here, you have the short Phillips head. And then here and here, you have your long Torx 15 bolts. So remember, this is the one that the washer stuck in there. So I already know that that goes there like that. And then this one will go right there. So install all of these screws, 1, 2, 3. The 4th will go here, right there. So 4 right there, and then the 2 on the back, and then you can install your back panel. Okay, everything is screwed in here, and on the sides, we have that guy, that one, and that one. We're ready to install the back panel. So you can see on the back panel, there's those little fins that come out. You're just gonna align those with the holes in the back of the machine. If the safety screws fall out, that's fine, just don't lose them. Once these are in the grooves there, the screw holes will automatically align, so it shouldn't be that hard even if the screws are out. But set this in here, make sure you're paying attention to the power cord. Make sure it's out of the way, tucked down underneath. And also make sure that your panel isn't upside down. I was just looking at it like the power port. So for this, you should read the label, and then you'll see that power button lines up right there. And there's as I was saying, there's a little gap right there for your power cord. So your cord will go like that and be installed like that. So let's install this, get the safety screws back in, and then we'll be ready for the finishing touches. Stay tuned. One quick note, when you're installing the back panel, you want to put it in at an angle and push it up. See how it clicked? Then push it in, but make sure your power cord is in that notch. So much easier to like that. See, then everything's nice and tight. Then put your screws in. But you have to come up underneath because everything is kind of tongue and groove with this machine. So, there you go. I found it much easier to get the screws and everything aligned and make sure that this wasn't pinching by just tilting the machine on a 45 very gently. So now that the back panel is in, we're ready to reinstall our drip pan here, the grounds container, can go back in, and then we have to put our brew canister back in. So the way this goes is you want to make sure that the piston is all the way up at the top. I don't know how this got dirty, I just cleaned it. And you can move these levers right here so that they are in that orientation. That's the only way this is going to fit because you can see the shape. And then you'll see the little track right there. That track hugs these ridges right here. So you'll squeeze these red buttons, feed this in, and there you go. So it fits right in just like that. Now we'll put the coffee beans back in, refill the water tank, install the water tank, and then we'll be ready to plug it in and give it a test. Okay, the beans are in. Good there. The water is in. We have our mug because once you power this up, it goes through a rinsing process and we'll always rinse before and after every cup. Now we're going to plug it in. And then on the back, there's a power button. So we will push that. And then let's power it up. So while this heats up, I will take a quick commercial break. But what we're looking for is for it to brew a cup of coffee perfectly good, like it always does, and then brew another one right after. And if it brews multiple cups of coffee without any issue, then we've resolved the problem. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to contact DeLonghi customer support. Now, I already spoke to them once about this, and they do offer a warranty package on their DeLonghi machines. It's like $377 for the warranty, but that will allow them to take the machine in, repair it, and send it back, and then they guarantee it for 3 months, which for almost $400, I don't know. The other thing is, you know, they can also give you maybe a 20% off coupon for a new machine, but I'd rather not have to buy a new machine. And based on how much that rinsed, I am not certain it's working properly or not. I don't know if because we took the lines off, it's not getting enough or what, but I'll wait until this is ready and then we'll be back and we'll run it and see what happens. Fingers crossed. So I tried to run a cup of hot water and it went through all of the motions. Not a drop came out of here, but a lot of it came out of the middle of the machine. So, yeah. that's where our water valve is. Well, not everything goes perfect. This is one of those real YouTube videos. So I'm going to disassemble this, take a look at the valve, see if maybe there was something loose or something that was missed, and go from there. I might put the old valve back in and just replace the solenoid, but I am not giving up on this machine yet. So this is what you would do if you wanted to clean the machine internally. So you can, silver lining there. So now you know that the inside of it is really clean. But we have a little bit more work to do. So we're going to get to it. Okay, so I have everything apart. That took about 2 minutes because now we're used to it. And since I know that this is only on that side, I didn't have to remove anything on the water tank side. So no screws, no tank or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this exposed so I can see what's going on and then figure it out from there. Now, I don't recommend you do this. This is not exactly safe, but I will put myself in harm's way to figure out what the problem is because I'm that dedicated. So this is the heating element. This is hot. I can feel the heat from it already from the first cycle, but I'm going to plug this in. I fully expect this to get water everywhere, so I have a towel down. I'm going to plug it in, put the power on, and see what it says. Okay, it's not giving me any problems yet. I need the mug, just in case it does do a rinse cycle. Okay. You can see the motor going. Okay, look. It's leaking right out of that valve. So, here's our option. We are getting a pretty good rinse though. A lot more than the first time. But I think what I'm going to do is put the old original valve back in, I think. I really like the idea of having a nice new clean valve, but if this isn't sitting, maybe I'll try and reseat this, run through the cycle and see what happens. And then if this still leaks, well, that means that maybe this isn't energizing enough to open the valve. But then again, we did just get the rinse cycle. Thinking out loud here, people, sorry. All right, let me make sure this is good. Oh. Well, that has a lot more flex on it than... I'm gonna make sure this is good, tighten it up, and then run it through a cycle. If this doesn't energize to open pull the plunger up and down, then yeah, we're not gonna get the flow through here that we need to go up to our brewer. So let me do a couple tests, troubleshooting, and then we'll go from there. All right, I took this out and just kind of double checked it and reseated it. It seems solid, but I fully expect that if this is going to leak I'd rather have it go into a bowl than on the floor. So I just slid that platform out. So it's pretty convenient for accessing everything. And now I'm going to just run the hot water cycle. So we're going to push here. And yeah. So there's our problem. So at this point, I'm going to put the old valve, I'm going to put the solenoid on the old valve and see if that makes a difference. Because if this isn't energizing and pulling that plunger up, then this is still the problem, but it's the same exact part number as the one we have, even with all the information on the side. So I would be really, really surprised if that's failing, being a brand new part. But I'm going to remove this nut, slide this off, take these hoses out, put the new valve on, and then put everything back together with the original valve and see if that makes any difference. Now, I might even try, if that doesn't work, because the hot water was working fine before. It was just the coffee. If the hot water is broken, but it'll still brew coffee, then, it's still working. But I would like to just fix it permanently. So let's keep troubleshooting. I'm going to switch that valve out and see what happens. Oh, please tell me this is the issue. So this was the new one that I put in, that I was about to replace. But if you look inside, you'll notice it's just bare. But then if you look inside the old one, there's an O-ring. And there's an O-ring on both sides. And that could very well be causing our lack of a seal. So I'm going to remove these O-rings and put them into the new valve. And I think that might solve our problem. I really hope. That would be awesome. I don't know why this new valve didn't come with the O-rings. If that's the case, I'll be very disappointed, but happy at the same time. So let's try the O-rings and see if that solves our problem. Okay, I used a toothpick very gently and carefully to get the O-rings out of the old one and put them into the new one. So let me reassemble this and see if it works. Oh yeah, these water hoses feel so much tighter. Let's power this back on. And I'll be back after it heats up. Okay, let's try our water again. Now we're catching a leak from right here. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's pouring out. Look at that. Is that cracked? So here's the good news. Not a single leak. That was it. So this is fixed. Now, I don't want to get too close in case that shoots out. This is boiling hot water. But That is not supposed to happen. So, on to the next problem. Man, it's really trying. I really need to see what's going on there. Okay. Well, once this stops and cools down, I'm going to try and get in here and take a look and see what's going on with that heating element. It would be nice if it's just tighten the nut and it seals up, but the way it's spraying out looks like the body is maybe has a crack in it. So I'll take a look and get back to you. Okay, so I took the top of the machine off again, and I'm looking at this piece, and if you look right there, it's kind of hard to see. Let me try and zoom in a little more. Right here. You'll see a tiny little hole. And that's where our water was coming out of. So that is not supposed to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some JB Weld, which is just like an epoxy based liquid that hardens like metal, that's used for repairing mufflers and other high temperature items. And I'm going to put some JB Weld on that and see if that will hold our pressure. I mean, we're not talking about super high pressure in the coffee maker. I mean, at least not that I know of. But if it will hold enough to just seal that up, then we should be good. So I'm going to JB Weld that and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then we're going to have to look at contacting customer support again, because there are a lot of parts to this internally that customer service will not even offer for sale. So I was actually surprised to find this, and now that that's repaired, there's a little bit of a hole in there, and I don't even know where that came from because I wasn't having that problem before. So that is what is next. I'm going to try and seal that up and hope that fixes it. At this point, we're just trying to keep this machine alive, because it's just little tiny things internally that I don't think customer support is going to help us with. So we're going to have to try and solve our own problems here. So stick with me. We'll see if we can get it done, get our coffee going. So this is JB Weld, and it's used for a lot of things. Cylinder sleeves, crankshafts, transmissions, engine blocks, radiators, general repairs, stove parts. I mean, it can do a lot. So I'm going to mix these two together. They're basically one's a hardener. The other one is the other part. Not quite sure what it is, but when you mix these two together, you have you want to let it sit for a couple of minutes to firm up just a little bit so it doesn't run. And then you apply it, and by the next day it'll be like steel. So, oh yeah, that's what the other one is. It's steel. So one's a hardener, the other one is steel. And when you mix them together, it will seal up anything. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit over those holes, or over that one hole. Let it sit overnight, and then we'll come back and see if it pressure checks okay. Stay tuned. Okay, so I have my JB Weld mixed up. Now I'm going to apply it, but I'm going to put on a latex glove. You just don't want this to come in contact with your skin or the countertop. I better clean that. My wife's going to kill me. And I'm just going to put a little bit right over the hole. I don't want to get too crazy with it. It is a coffee machine that makes our drink, so I want to prevent it getting into the water stream. So I don't want to push it through the hole. I just want to cover it up on the outside. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to apply it right under here and then right in the front here in case that becomes another problem in the future. So this is still relatively hot, so I'm going to let it cool just a little bit, and then I'll apply it, and then we'll test it out later. Okay, we are back. The JB Weld has been sitting for over 24 hours. You can see right there. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, JB Weld is toxic and it's going to be in contact with the water and you're going to be drinking it, JB Weld is actually used for applications just like this. You can even use it to seal up potable water containers. So it is perfectly safe to have this here. It doesn't leach into water or anything like that. Once it cures, you're good. So the only thing we want to make sure is that it'll hold up against the pressure and the heat. So I'm going to plug it in and we'll run a cycle and see if we were able to save our coffee machine. If not, DeLonghi does not sell this part to the public. I was on the phone with them for about an hour today. So if this doesn't work, we are looking at either bringing it to a certified DeLonghi repair center, which the closest one is 2 hours away, and then you'd have to pay to have them repair it. So we'll probably end up just replacing it if this doesn't work. So fingers crossed. Let's plug it in and fire it up. All right, it's heated up. We're going to run the water and see if this works. Not liking what I'm seeing here. I'm not seeing any leaks though. That's sealed up. This is not making me feel good. that didn't work. I do see some water in the drip pan. Don't know where the rest of it would have gone. We got a little down there. Oh man. You fix one thing and it's just something else. All right, well, back to the drawing board. We'll dig into it more and see what we can find. Just for grins, I added some coffee grinds and I'm going to try and brew a cup of coffee. This machine must be thirsty because it's drinking all of the water and coffee. Problem is, where is it going? It's not in the drip pan. Okay. The plot thickens. It smells really good though still. It's just crazy. Oh man, I should just use this machine for aromatherapy now instead of coffee. Dang it. So it turns out, based on research, that the pressure buildup that caused that crack in the frame of the thermoblock is a result of mineral or calcium buildup or blockage inside this channel. And when I sealed that up, all it did was build up the pressure inside the thermoblock, which is what caused that steam sound. So the water is trapped inside and it can't pass through. And there's nothing you can do to clear that out because it's completely built up. So that part would have to be replaced, and since DeLonghi doesn't offer that part to the public, this machine is toast. So, it's been a good run, but I'm working with DeLonghi right now to see if they can give me some discounts towards another one, or I might have to switch brands because these are not cheap. So I hope this video helped. Sorry we weren't able to fix this one, but if we ended up fixing your problem, then I'm glad we went through it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.